Welcome back to my YouTube channel. I was just up here thinking that I should just give y'all a story time of just being aware about, it's like in a domestic violence relationship, and it was not good at all. And I had just wanted to just bring awareness to, the women's and the men that's in a domestic violence relationship. Like, if y'all going through something like that or whatever, y'all needs to get out like immediately, because it's not nothing to be staying in, and you should know that you're more special and you are worth something. Because when I was in a domestic violence relationship, it was that I really just thought this person just loved me, or that was the type of love that person has shown, but that is not really love at all. And by me being in that relationship, it causes like severe damage to me, not just physically, but mentally damage too. Because for one, I really just thought this person, like every time this person just hit me or did anything, that was, the type of love that they was showing. But that is not love at all. And the first time when that situation occurred is like it was after I had my first child. And the thing was, when I had my first child and I was had went over to his goddad house and stuff like that or whatever, had took him over there to go see his goddad and stuff, so he could spend time with his goddad. So during that time or whatever, like, we weren't in a relationship, but I think he thought that we was in a relationship because I just had the baby and stuff like that, because we was on rocky terms and things. So I had ended up going over to his goddad house and taking him over there. And like my siblings or whatever told him where I was at, so he had ended up coming over there and stuff like that. And just outside yelling and screaming and stuff like that, telling me to come outside with his son and stuff like that, which is understandable or whatever, but you ain't got to put your hands on me. But that's when the first situation had went over there. Then he had ended up just, I had ended up coming back home and stuff like that with my son and stuff like that. Then we had ended up getting into a big argument. Then we had got into the argument. He just he hit me a couple of times and that was it. Then he was like, okay, I'm sorry. This is the first time he ever hit me. He was like, okay, I'm sorry. I'm not going to do that ever again. Like, I already know that I shouldn't have did that. I was just mad and upset because, you was over there. And it was a lot to that situation. But so after that occurred, he ain't do it for a while. So second situation was, it was like on New Year's Eve, and my dad's house. Then he kind of got mad because the situation had broke out, because we had people at the house and stuff like that or whatever, that he didn't like a certain person. So we had end up leaving. So we had end up leaving and going over to his cousin's house. And when we had went over his cousin's house, and in the midst of me getting out the car, he just hit me real hard for no reason. I'm like, okay, what was that about? He was like, you know what that was about and stuff like that. And I was like, no, I don't. So literally he hit me real hard and I fell down, and I'm like, oh my goodness, what's really going on? So he had ended up doing all that, and we had ended up going into his cousin's house, and that's when he began to tell me he was sorry all over again. when he had ended up doing all that stuff. Keep in mind, this still when I had my first child. He had went over his cousin. We had went into his cousin's house. He said he was sorry. He was apologizing. This the second time he done told me he would never ever do that again. And so I believed him. Like, I really believed that he wouldn't have never did that again. That was the end of that. So it didn't happen for like a good while again, like a very good while. We had our little disagreements and stuff like that. So we end up deciding to move in together. And this during the time, like, we end up moving in with his mom. And when I had end up moving in with his mom, it's like, that's when the control started. Trying to control my every move, who my friends was, who I can talk to, when I can come and leave, and just everything. Like, I never really just bring this up around my kids, or really just told them. I just told them like little bits and pieces of, like different situations and stuff like that. But we had end up moving in. I ended up getting pregnant with my second child, and during the pregnancy of my second child, like, it really got bad with the fighting, because what had happened was I had ended up going up the stairs and stuff like that, because we had like a sitting room, family type of room downstairs and stuff. So chilling down there, watching TV. Then I end up walking upstairs because I had wanted to go to the kitchen, and I don't know if it was to get something to drink or I don't know. But I end up seeing him with one of our friends. And when I seen him with one of our friends, like, he was up there. I stood there for a while. Keep in mind, I stood there for a while to see what was really going on. So he was upstairs with one of our friends, and he was up there rubbing and all this other stuff, talk about, come on, you can give me some. Then she was like, no, I don't want to do that no more. And I was like, do it no more? Like, you got a whole girlfriend, and I don't want to do that no more. And I'm not going to do that no more because you got a whole girlfriend. Then he was like, oh, you can just come on and, just kept rubbing and just feeling on her and stuff like that or whatever. And so I was like, hey, like, what's really going on? Then that's when they both jumped and stuff like that or whatever. And then he was like, don't worry about what's going on or whatever. You can just go in there. I'm trying to talk to her and stuff like that. I'm like, talk to her for what? Like, what's going on? Like, what is you doing? Because, I just seen everything because I've been standing here for a minute. I'm like, probably like about 6-7 months pregnant with my son. And so I had ended up sitting down in my chair and stuff like that. Well, in a chair at the table. I had ended up sitting down at the table, and we were still talking, arguing and stuff like that. So he ended up pulling the chair from up under me, like just snatched the chair up under me. And I'm like, you see that I'm pregnant with your child, like our son, like you see that I'm pregnant with our child. Then in the midst of that or whatever, like he got to hitting and kept hitting me and just kept hitting me. And it was like, oh my goodness, like, okay, I had to, protect my child at this point in time, like cover my stomach up and protect my child. And that was horrible or whatever, because you see that I'm pregnant, you hit me, and I'm pregnant with your child. Like, make it make sense. Just because you mad because I caught you talking to one of our friends trying to, have sex with her. But that's like the third incident that happened. Then it just kept happening and just kept happening. Then it's like one particular time too, like I was cleaning up downstairs, like the kid toy rooms and stuff like that because they had a toy room. So I was cleaning up the toy room and stuff like that, and I seen something hanging from the ceiling. So when I seen something hanging from the ceiling, it was like a paper with a whole bunch of numbers and stuff on it. And I'm like, why is these numbers up here? Me just being me, I called the number and I was like, okay, do you know such and such, such and such? They was like, yeah, that's my man. I was like, what? That's your man? I'm like, okay, I have 2 kids. Now this this particular time, I'm going into probably, yeah, my about not even, I don't know if I was pregnant at this point in time or whatever, but I know I had my son. But this particular time, when the girl said all that stuff or whatever, when he came in and I had asked him about it, I was like, so you talking to such and such? He was like, oh, no, that's just a friend that, we just be over house or whatever. She don't like men, just put it like that. She don't like men, she like women, so, we just be over there hanging out and stuff like that. I'm like, oh, no, she said that y'all go together. He was like, I don't go with her, and you gonna believe this, calling her out her name, over me and all this other stuff. I'm supposed to be your man, so you gonna believe her? And I was like, I'm asking you a question, so why is you being hostile? So he ended up still going off. Then he ended up, just hitting me real hard. And this particular time when he hit me real hard, so he ended up hitting me like with his rings in my face real hard and hit me in my eyes, which caused retinal detachments. So when these retinal detachments happen, it's like I was not aware that I was having like a retinal detachment going on. So when I had noticed, like I was probably like 2 months pregnant after that time, when I noticed that like my vision, like I'm up there watching TV and I noticed in like my vision, it was like going in and out and it was like squiggly lines and stuff like that going on or whatever. But let me backtrack a little bit because I'm getting ahead of myself. But after all that stuff happened and he hit me in my face, I had a big gash in my face. So I had to go to the hospital because it was that bad, because he literally hit me in my eyes. I had to go to the hospital. So I'm out there or whatever in the hospital. It was an officer came in. So the officer was like, who hit you? Because he had took me out there. He was like, who hit you? And I was like, I ended up making up a story, which funny thing, I told my sister the same story because, if they knew that, stuff that happened to me or whatever, they would have been over there because they don't play. Like, my brothers and my sisters don't play at all. So I told them I went to the store and stuff like that, and I got jumped by some girls. So that's what I had told the police officer too, that I had ended up getting jumped by some girls. And he was like, we can protect you and stuff like that. So if that's the truth or whatever, that you got jumped by some girls. And I was like, yes. I had got jumped by some girls when I had went to the store and stuff like that. That's why I got this scar, like this gash right here. So that's when my, boyfriend had ended up rushing me to the hospital, and I had ended up coming back from the store. Then it was like, okay, they ended up letting that slide or whatever, because at that point in time, they was going to end up locking him up, which at that point in time, that's when I was more scared of him than anything. Now, going forward about the vision, I gave out a rundown about when I was watching TV. So I had ended up going to the eye doctor, and I'm like probably like 3-4 months pregnant with my daughter at this point in time. Had ended up going to the eye doctor, and when I went to the eye doctor, they said that, oh, you have retinal detachments. So if you don't, at this point in time, I only got one eye checked, and that was my left eye, which I should have got both eyes checked. The only reason why I got my left eye checked is because it was more so of my vision going out more in my left eye. So I only ended up getting that checked. So he was like, okay, you got to immediately get surgery did, because if you don't get the surgery did, you're going to go blind. And I'm like, oh my goodness. So I was like, if I don't get the surgery done, I'm not going to be able to, see my kids or be able to, raise them the way that I need to raise them. So I had to end up getting the eye surgery did. So I ended up getting that eye surgery did. Then after I had my daughter, the other eye started, acting up and stuff like that. And that's due to, when they said retinal detachments, that's due to like, I had to be having, they was like, you're young or whatever, so your vision shouldn't be the way it is at this point, because you're young. Like, you had to have a hard blow to the head. And I'm saying to myself, like, yeah, I did, but I didn't, tell them that, because I didn't want him to be in trouble for what he had did. But that's when, all that stuff happened, and like far as my eyes and stuff like that. So it caused like insecurities in me because of that situation, and I had to get eye surgery. So it caused like my left eye to be, more lazier than the right eye. But I just, thank God that I still have the vision that I have. Even though I have like the lazy eye and stuff like that. So, but it still did cause insecurities in me. But fast forward from, all this other stuff, like this stuff and domestic violence went on for years. When I say years, it's like a lot of stuff went on for years after years after years. And it's like I was just so scared, so not want to leave. Then when I left, he ended up finding me. I don't even know how he found me, to be honest with you. He ended up pulling up every time I left, pulled up at their house, begging me to come home. And what did I do? Came home, was just scared, and just, it was just so much going on at that point in time. Then I had made up in my mind after a while. It was after my seventh child. After my seventh child, that's when, or was it before my seventh child? I think it was my seventh child. But anyway, after my seventh child, all this stuff had went on, like far as me getting beat and hit on. Oh, and let me get to this. One time was like the worst time that I ever got beat on. Like, oh my goodness, it was the worst. So we had this park here where I stay at. It's called Forest Park. And Forest Park is like really ain't no good park to go to. At first it was like a great park to take your kids, but we went to Forest. Like, he drove up at Forest Park, and we was in the car. I'm trying to get the story straight. We was in the car, so he got the arguing stuff or whatever. So he ended up driving to Forest Park. I'm like, so why is we up here at Forest Park? I'm like, for what reason? But anyway, we had ended up being up at Forest Park. He arguing, so he gonna tell me, you can get in the back seat. So, I end up, getting in the back seat of the car. I was like, okay. I'm like, oh my goodness, like, what the heck? was about to happen. So he jumps in the back seat of the car and just start hitting me, like hitting me so hard, like to the point where I was blacking out and all this stuff. Like my face was just so messed up. He pulled my hair out, just everything. In that particular time, I really thought I was about to die, like literally. Then we pull up after all that stuff happened, we pull up to the house. It's summertime. We pull up to the house, everybody out, my kids out, like out there. He telling his sister, I guess, to take the kids in the house and all that other stuff. Dragging me out the car, like literally dragging me by my hair out the car. And that was just so horrible. Like when I say I got a lot of stories on like being abused in that relationship, it's a lot of stories on that one, but that was just horrible, like very horrible. But the best thing that came out of that relationship was my kids. And he was not the best person for me, but he was the best person for his children. I can honestly say he was like literally the best father that he can ever be for his children. Like his children ain't never wanted for nothing. He was always there for them and everything. He was just not the best person for me. Like our children was meant to be. But I truly just thank God for, the children and stuff like that he blessed me with. I thank God for being able to fight back, because it was a particular time he had came in the household. And I don't know if he was drunk or whatever. And this particular time, I said, I'm not taking no more of this. Like, I'm about to fight back. Like, I'm not going to take no more of his bull. In this particular time, it took all the strength in me, because he just came in and just hit me. So I began to fight back. And when I fought back, like literally when I fought back, I don't know how, I got up around him, pulled him back, had my arms around his neck, fell back on the couch, had him to the point where he couldn't even move. And at this point, I didn't want to let go. Like, I literally didn't want to let go. And the only reason why I let go of him and not choking him out was because of my children. And because of me thinking like, okay, I could have went to prison, my kids wouldn't have no father. But I thought about him. Then the person that was there too was my friend. She was like, you don't want to, Brenda, you don't want to go to jail. You got kids to, be out here for. You got kids that love you, and you got to be here for them. And you got us, like, we love you, and we don't need you to be out, in prison because of just one little thing that happened because of all the abuse that you took along the way. So I had to think about that. And so that's when I let go. And that's when he was like, okay, you got me. Like, you really got me. Then after that, I knew I had power, because he couldn't fight me no more, because I fought back. And that was the greatest feeling ever, to know that I regained my power from that violence relationship. And after that started happening, I started, getting back to myself, getting back to reality, knowing that, I'm worth something, that I am special, and I am worthy of somebody else's love. I just thank God for, just open my eyes, and God just being him, because throughout this situation, it's like I had started to go to church. I had started praying. I had, wanted to get my life together. And by me doing that, it's like, God will make a way of escape. And God will give you strength to fight back. And I just, just thank God for just everything that He is doing. And He just been like so good through that situation. Like I think I could have never ever just made it out if I didn't have the strength to fight back, because it was horrible. Like literally horrible. I was just giving y'all a little story time. I was just giving y'all like why like I really haven't been like on the camera like YouTube because of insecurity. You know what? I said I'm just gonna go forth and just do me. All right, you guys, that is enough of my story time. I need y'all to go and like, subscribe, and comment, and just comment down below what's the next thing that y'all want me to talk about or see me do, or do y'all want some pranks, or do y'all want cooking with me, or just out blogging or DIYs. Just let me know. Just comment down below, and I am out. Peace.